good friend of mine.
Hello.
Robynn
What's going on,
in
man?
the building. For you guys who don't know, Robynn Roxx is a very good friend of mine. Super funny, super intelligent. Just a good all around good person. Is one of the best people that I know. Got nothing but love for Robynn, and I have Robynn on the show, so I'm super excited. Robynn, you can say hi to everyone. And
Hello, everybody. What's up, everyone? It's good to meet you guys. I know that if you're all on here watching Orlando's show, you're dope people too. So super excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
it's so crazy. A lot of people don't know this, but I met Robynn actually in Chicago at a Joe Coy show. What was it, about 4 years ago? 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah, it was when I broke my spine.
Yes. Broke her spine, and it was her first time being out,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
And
it was
why?
my first time going to any public space ever.
Jeez. And then, but we met, we clicked, we stayed in touch, and we became really good friends. This is one of my biggest supporters right here, and just a super intelligent, smart sister. Uh, I always go to you. She's got amazing marketing skills, and just great ideas, and he's helped me with a lot of projects that I've been doing over the last couple of years. So I got love for her.
You're kind. You really are.
That's right. So Robynn, we're on School Tales. School Tales, if you don't know, you love it. So my first question to you, we're gonna get right into it. Where did you go to college, Robynn? Because I do want to mention this.
Yeah, so I went to a couple of different colleges, but I ended up graduating from Benedictine University. But I started at Colby in Maine.
Colby, that's right.
That's the one you're familiar with. Yeah, yeah.
Started at Colby, but you went to school, prep school in
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts. See, we
Yeah.
have a connection there. What was the school?
The Berkshire School
The Berkshire
in the
schools. Okay.
southwest corner. Yeah, it's right along the Appalachian Trail, like gorgeous scenery, but it played in the same league with like Choate, Rosemary,
Mhm.
Hotchkiss, Phillips, Exeter, Andover, all those
Yeah,
schools.
yeah.
Yeah, you know them. And I think
Yeah,
yours,
yeah,
no?
no. Huh?
Wasn't it your school too?
No, 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 no. That wasn't my school. My school was a lot broker than that.
I thought you were in our circle for some reason.
No, no, no. I knew, but I had a lot of friends at college that
Yeah.
went to Xavier and what's the other one? Andover.
Andover. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes, yeah. A couple football players, a couple basketball players went to both of those schools. So I was very familiar with the league and how great it was for athletics, right?
Yeah, it was. I mean,
Man,
it's really good for like hockey if you're trying to do a postgraduate year or something like that. But I think where I came from was better because I came from Chicago public schools.
yes,
Like
John.
your athletic pool is a little deeper than uh, bougie preppy school.
No, but you know what? Those bougie preppy schools, to be honest with you, those bougie preppy schools end up getting a lot of, you know, it's a good look as
Yeah,
far as like your post grad year.
yeah,
My nephew ended up going to a prep school. He was in a public school, went to prep school for basketball, and to be honest with you, it's probably one of the best decisions that him and his father made, just because academically it really helped him out.
yeah,
And then as far as looks go with prep school, since there's so many post grads that go there, you get looked at by a lot of colleges, and
yeah.
he ended up going to Bates. So he's a shout out to my nephew Stephon Baxter at Bates College.
That's amazing. Bates is that I applied to Bates too. There's three colleges: Colby, Bates, and Bowdoin. And so
Mm-hmm.
if you go to one of those three, like they're all kind of in the same circuit. So if he's doing athletics at Bates,
He's doing
that's
athletic.
impressive.
He's doing athletic at Bates, but the thing that I'm most proud of is he's doing, his academics. He's doing really well at Bates, and I don't think that I'm not saying he couldn't have done it if he would have if he went to Bates from public school, but I do think the transition sometimes is a lot harder but him coming from the prep school that he went to in Connecticut, I think that academic transition was a lot easier for him.
Yeah, I tell people all the time when people say, "Oh, you're smart," or "You have a good vocabulary." I'm like, I attest all of that to the prep school. Now, don't get
Mm.
me wrong, my public school in Chicago was wonderful. They laid down an excellent foundation, so I'm not hating on Chicago public schools.
Yeah.
But prep school is such a different environment, particularly where I went because I was boarding. So not only was I in a smaller, I went from a school that had like 2,800 kids to a school with a total of like 128 kids.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it was a lot smaller. So your class sizes, I had 7 or 8 kids in my class. So your
Mhm.
ability to learn and to get assistance with the subject is more accessible. And then you also can get more information in a shorter amount of time because you're only teaching 7 kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I feel like I learned a lot from prep school. I have no hate for prep school whatsoever.
Yeah, the student, I think two things. It's like the student to teacher ratio is very low. And then
Yeah.
also I think that you like my nephew's, he still has his friends from his public school he went to, obviously. But he
Right.
also has his friends from prep school. And a lot of these friends have parents that are in high places. So as far as
Yeah.
networking, uh,
Networking is unbelievable for sure.
yeah, it's definitely been beneficial for him.
Yeah. Prep school will set you up. I don't think I would have gotten into Colby had I not had the prep school experience or debates. Like not that I wasn't intelligent. I mean, I didn't just jump into prep school dumb and become smart. You know, like
Yeah.
I was good with academics and I was good at studying, but I don't know if I would have had as well-rounded of a resume when applying to those schools. Prep school, that's why it's called prep school, right? College preparatory is the formal term of it, and it's to prepare you for college. And so our school required more than public school. It wasn't just your academics. You had to compete in athletics. There was no gym class. So you
Yeah.
had to pick 2 sports out of the 3 seasons.
Mm.
On your off season, you had to do something creative. We had access to resources like a planetary, or what do you call that, where you have the telescope and you look?
Oh, the planetarium. Is it a planetarium?
Astrology or yeah,
I,
whatever that is.
I went
We
to
had
those.
one of those. Like, what public school has one of those?
Yeah, no, that's impressive.
Yeah, yeah.
We did not have one at my public school, but I
Right,
will
we
say
didn't
this,
either. Like, we
I
didn't have
did.
anything. We didn't even have a good track.
Listen, I did go from a public school to Holy Cross was like a Catholic school, private school, and I did feel like when I did make that transition from South High to Holy Cross, it was a big transition, and it was a difficult transition. It took me a while to adjust to the
Really?
expectations. I really do think so because I think sometimes you perform to me, I always felt like I performed in the environment that I was in. So, the expectation as a senior, like, yeah, do a book report, right? And
Right.
it's like a couple of pages, 2, 3 pages max. And then it would go from that. And then you jump to a private school like Holy Cross, just a more recognized, academically known school. And it was like, oh, you got a 10-page paper
Oh,
due.
you were probably furious.
Oh, you know what it wasn't? I think I'm like a chameleon. Like I adjust to the environment. So it just took me longer to do things.
Right.
Like dudes go out and they be like, I'm like, yo, you ain't gonna work on your paper. They're like, I'm already done. And then,
Oh, and yours over
you
here,
know,
like, I'm still hustling.
yeah, like I'm still, I'm trying to go to the damn writer's workshop to figure out what
Right.
I'm doing right. So I mean, I was smart enough to take advantage of the resources that they had, but it definitely took me a while to adjust academically coming from a public school like I came from. I'm not even saying anything's wrong with the public school, but sometimes you don't know what that expectation is, when you've been in this environment your whole life, and then you get to this next one and you're like, yo,
You know
it's
what?
great.
You're right. Like, I kind of remember, I didn't remember that till just now, but I do remember recognizing the amount of time I had to rededicate to keeping up with the kids who were already doing it when I first started. Because it
Yeah,
was different. It was like, it wasn't even necessarily the material was harder, it was the expectations were higher. You
yeah,
know, like
yeah,
like
and it's
they checked everything, you know,
yeah.
like you didn't get a pass on a comma.
No, no, no. Like they were like on you, and I think it helped me. Like if you have that, you know, I always had that, like, yeah, I came through a rough situation. So even though I'm in this academic situation that is stressful and difficult, I always believe that because I came from this rough, real, like, life rough situation, that I figure out a way to adjust, and it end up working out. But
That's the survivor in you. Like, that's what you do. You know, like, you're not going to go somewhere and just fail.
yeah,
You're
right.
not. That's just your personality.
Because I think sometimes when you, even when I went to Holy Cross, you know, even people, not necessarily people in my circle, but people that know me and know that I came from this environment, they was like, I don't know if he's gonna make it at
Yeah.
Holy Cross, but you know, they don't understand, like, the background. Sometimes your background can motivate you to deal with difficult situations, just like makes you mentally strong.
It's unfortunate that there were people who even thought that or communicated that to you in a way that you remember that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I don't even know how I would feel if I went off somewhere. And I had a small family, so there wasn't a whole lot of approval needed. It was like mom, you know. But I'd be hurt if I went off to go do something and there were people around me that were like, "Oh, she's not going to make it." Like, that's so
Yeah.
discouraging.
Like, but I don't think it was like, to be honest with you, it was like I was in this program in high school, this program called John S. Laws, and one of my mentor, my advisor, was was a brother that also went to Holy Cross, that encouraged me to go to Holy Cross, and he just mentioned that somebody else in the program, one of the other staff, had said, "Ooh,
Mhm.
I don't know how he's gonna do there."
Oh, more
Kind of,
concerned that it be a challenge.
yeah, and I was like,
Yeah.
nah, man, like, yo, I'm gonna graduate on time and I'm gonna do what I
Yeah.
got to be in there. But speaking of people that, like, motivate you in your life, teachers, do you have anyone in particular that uh, you like to talk about? Like, so, do you have anyone that was, like, impactful?
Yeah, I do. And I actually, so there's two, and they're from the same school. It was both from high school, and they, oh, so one was a teacher and one was a coach, but they kind of sync together on it. But I had my math teacher, and I don't remember his name. I think it was Mr. Nelson. He taught advanced math, and in my freshman year, I think I got him for whatever the intro math level was, and he
And
saw that I was
I was in high school or college?
high school.
High school, okay.
Yeah, but it does lead to college. So he ends up checking out my math skills, whatever it boils down to. I'm at a higher level, so he's encouraging me to take this, a different course so that it's more advanced. So I take the advanced course. Come the next year, he encourages me to take an even higher, math course, and he pulls me aside, and I didn't understand this at the time, but he pulls me aside and he says, "It's really important that you pass this course." And I was like, okay, well, I mean, my mom's gonna whoop my ass if I don't pass everything, so I got this. Like, I'm gonna pass it. And he said
Mm-hmm.
to me, and I didn't get the impact of it, but he said, "You'd be the first," and I don't know his language back then, "the first person of color in this school to get through this program and pass it, and you can set a precedence for us," because he was pushing for some kind of program for some of the kids who were coming in that were from the city, and he wasn't getting approval on it. And he was like, "You're kind of my guinea pig, so to speak." So I didn't know what that meant. I didn't really understand. I was like, who cares if I'm the first brown person to get through? What does that matter, really? Like,
Yeah.
I didn't understand at that point that there was some disparity in how schools were run. So nonetheless, I end up getting through the program or whatever. What it ends up doing is it puts me on a fast track through math. So when I
Mm-hmm.
get into prep school, I now have this new math teacher. I end up taking 3 math classes my senior year
Wow.
because I had extra space. And now I'm in this world where my and it doesn't end up working out, but my prep school teachers are trying to get me on a science and math, like, engineering track. So
Mm-hmm.
it ends up leading into a different path, but the motivation that I got from Mr. Nelson to focus on my math and it was the first time I had ever had anybody in my life outside of my mother say, "I believe in you." Like, it was like direct words of, like, "I feel like you can do this." And it was like, "Oh, I can't let you down now." And
Yeah.
then it ends up domino affecting into this other path. I end up in all these, high-end math classes, and I get excited because my senior year I get to do calculus and get that out the way. And I think I'm going to be a math major until I get to college calculus, which is totally different than high school
Yeah.
calculus. Completely. I changed my major instantly. I was like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
Not for 4 more
I've
years.
done all the math that I wanted to do. And so you didn't stick with it. You didn't stick with math.
I didn't, but it gave me the courage to know that I didn't know that humans could believe in you in that personal way. I really didn't. And he
Yeah.
had linked up with the other teacher who was a history teacher. His name was Mr. Hoff, and he ends up being my gymnastics coach who realizes I can run fast, and he ends up throwing me in track. Them linking up together is what got me kind of to the point where I ended up going to prep school. So it ended up being kind of domino effect because, you know, Mr. Huff was just kind of focused on making sure that I got through this math course because it was really heavy for me. And I was a straight A student otherwise, but this was difficult. And then he was also my athletic coach, right? So I had that kind of balance and getting my scores where my times where I did for track, and then having, you know, my math background was what actually got me into prep school. So, you know, prep school is kind of like college, right? You have to have this resume when you present yourself, and you've got to be somebody that they want out of 60 people they're bringing in, you know? And so that kind of like balanced it all. So full circle story, I find Mr. Hoff on Facebook. Like,
What?
yeah. Like I found him randomly, like, I don't know, 15 years ago or something. I was trying to finish my college degree, and I was stuck on an economics exam that I couldn't pass. And come to find out, he had dropped history and was teaching economics.
What?
So he tutored me.
Serious?
He tutored me as a grown-up.
Hey, listen, whatever works. You know what it is? You made an impression on him. Because if you didn't make a good impression on him, he'd be like,
he wouldn't have wasted his time. Yeah.
No friend request denied, right?
Yeah, exactly. He's like, my student, come on. You know, from 20 years ago, it was a long time ago.
Damn, that's crazy. That's dope. But like, it's funny because I'm thinking about it and I'm asking myself, like, if a student hit me up as an adult and was like, hey, Mr. Baxter, can you tutor me with, I'll be like, no.
You're grown.
You're grown. Just fail like everybody else. Deal with it. So that's dope. That's dope.
Yeah, he was cool.
Have you ever had any other teachers that were like the complete opposite of that kind of were just? And,
so I don't want this to cause any controversy, but I'm just gonna be honest about the situation. I went to move back in with my father, and he lived in Guam my entire life. When you live on an island like Guam, you don't go to public school. That's just, you know, a recipe for complete grow-up failure. It may be different now, but back then you didn't want to go to public school. So I had to go to Catholic school. Because leading up to this point, religion was not a priority for my family. I didn't even know what the word God was. So when I get into Catholic school, I struggle with like everything we're doing. Like I get the Pledge of Allegiance, but I didn't understand the beads or the prayers. Or
that's funny. I've never heard the Pledge of Allegiance associated with God to the degree that you're putting it in right now.
That's exactly what happened. We did like 3 American things, like Pledge Allegiance, Star Spangled Banner, and like the other one, and we had 3 prayers.
And this was in Guam?
Yes, in like ridiculous 78-degree weather with window air condition units and feather brooms that would throw the dust all around the room.
How long were you in Guam?
That run, I was there for a year and a half.
Okay.
Yeah, I was there when I was younger and went back again when I was older, but yeah, for a year and a half. And I just had this really awful religion teacher. He was a deacon. And I asked him why you have to tell another person your sins, why I have to go inside of a box to tell another person my sins in order for God to forgive me. And he's like, are you questioning why you're going to confessional? And I was like, I guess. Like, I didn't know what I was going to. I had no idea at all. And he was like, you do not question God. I was like, I don't even know who God is. I had no clue. And I questioned the Holy Trinity. Is that the right way to say it? I said, if it's the Father and he's the Son of God, but the Son of God's also God and Jesus is called God, then how is he the Son? Which one's God? Like, I'm confused why we call them both God. He failed me in religion for those 2 things.
What?
Mm-hmm. Said that I was defiant. That I was
Wow.
a 12-year-old like deviant that was like, and I'm the girl who did nothing. I was like scared of the world. I didn't even talk. I was just in the front row like this all the time. Had no friends. And
That's
I
kind of
failed religion.
that's weird. First of all, I've never heard of a deacon doing anything. Maybe it's because my black church experience, except sitting in a chair doing absolutely nothing behind the pastor. So it's just funny to me that you have uh, a deacon teaching a class and failing you
Yeah,
because
my dad had to go in and fight for my grade. He brought it up to a D after he argued.
what did he say? Well,
Story.
she know the Pledge of Allegiance, so that's at least that's crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. I'll tell you
So
what, it made me not believe in God. I was like, screw all this.
oh yeah. Oh, so it set you back
It
religiously.
did. It set me back a long time, and it was unfortunate, like a long time. Yeah,
So
it
you're
took a
not
while for me to figure things
you're not
out.
a Catholic or anything, huh? You're not Catholic.
I don't know that I was then, even though that was the year I had also been baptized, did the Holy Communion. I got all of it in the same year, like crash course, CCD, like everything happened in 12 months.
That's funny.
About
See,
18 months later, I was a non-believer.
yeah, you know what's so crazy about that? I remember being in like elementary school, and I went to this school that was like, I grew up in this projects in Worcester called Great Brook Valley, but the school that I went to was like right outside of Great Brook Valley, so it was like there was a lot of kids. There was like a lot of white kids, like Irish kids, at the school, and they would always talk about CDC. And I used to be like, what the hell is CDC? They was like, yeah, don't you got CDC at your church? I was like, CDC. I don't know what the hell you got to talk about. We got the Holy Spirit. People is flipping and bouncing
Oh,
upside
no.
down in the Baptist church, but not CDC. So CDC is like a school, right? In the Catholic Church. Or is
It's
it like
so
community
it,
or something?
I think it's called CCD. It's like Catholic Community
Oh yeah, see.
something. Yeah, I think CDC is
like
for
like disease
viruses.
center. Yeah.
I was like, I'm not quite sure. I was like, but honestly, I might not even be saying the right letters either. I don't know if y'all know
I
in the
think it is
comments,
like
but it's like
CD.
it's school to teach you about being a Catholic. I guess
Yeah.
it's like it teaches you about it's what I needed to know before I started school. Like it teaches you about
Yeah.
God. It's like Bible school for it's supposed to make you an adult in the church or something to that effect.
Yeah. Really?
I'm not quite sure, to be honest, and I'm probably ripping it apart terribly, but it was not the most pleasant experience. It was rough.
Wait, because I'm like, I went to a Catholic college, and I knew nothing about the Catholic Church other than it's a nice
Yeah,
church, and I don't like the music. That was it.
just that.
And I know you confess your sins
Yeah,
to the person. And I was like, well, I don't do that to the black pastor, so why would I do it to the guy that I'm assuming is a white guy in the box?
right.
I'm not gonna do it. So yeah, so like, but you were like a substitute teacher for a while, right? You've done a lot of stuff,
Oh gosh, yes.
and and
Man.
a lot of stuff I don't even know. Like, did you substitute in Chicago?
So I have substituted in Maine, filling in for my mom. And then I have substituted in Illinois, but not in the city. I've not done the city.
Now, what was the difference? What do you think is the biggest difference between Maine and subbing in Illinois? Was there a difference?
Yeah, so they were two different time periods. So there's a huge difference just because of that, right? Probably a good 20 years apart where I did that subbing. When I substituted in Maine, I was younger. I was in college. And so I related to the children a little bit more. But it's a small town where my mom was also a police officer.
Oh, damn.
And it was a high school where there was just like kind of a lot of kids that tended to get in trouble for silly stuff, rockets blowing up and that kind of thing. So when I subbed in for her, I legit subbed in with kids who had been arrested by my mom.
Why? Did they
Yeah.
have like an attitude towards you or
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. They're
Oh,
like, I know your mom. And I was like, well, I'm not my mom. Like, I was doing everything because I was so close in age that I was actually kind of uncomfortable. You know what I mean? I was like, they might be able to whoop my tail. I'm gonna walk out of here. It's over. So it wasn't comfortable there. So that's probably the biggest difference. Maine was very, it lacked color and diversity. It was very just kind of, everyone was kind of Metallica, kind of theme dressed back, back in that time. And then Illinois, like the kids barely had clothes on at all. They have no problem calling you a bitch.
Life right there.
Yeah, it was totally different. And I actually have caught kids like in detention, like calling me names under their breath, where that didn't happen in Maine. It's just they just didn't care for me.
Oh, you named under your breath in Maine?
No. Once I
Oh,
found out I was cool.
after school, and then that's when they did all their like insulting.
No, I was cool in Maine. I was not cool in Illinois. In Illinois, I had already been a mom. I had already raised my kids, so I came in with an iron fist.
Oh yeah, you.
Totally different experience. Plus,
Now,
these kids are wild, man. They have no problems telling you off and then calling Channel 7 to show up when you're getting off work. No problem doing that.
Now, were they? Let me ask: was it an elementary or high school?
Both were high school. I would love to sub elementary. I would love to. I've never done it.
You know what's so funny? Like, a lot of people assume that because the kids are little, that they're not going to be as crazy, like they're going to be more manageable.
Yeah.
I talk to a lot of elementary school teachers, and they're like, these motherfuckers is crazy. Like, because, they're young, so it's like very surprising because you think you should be able to handle them. And then like some of the stuff that they say will like blow your mind. So
every friend that I know that is an elementary school teacher is a huge wino.
Oh, they drink a lot. That's why that recess is really not for the kids.
No.
It's
for Mrs. Smith's water bottle.
Yeah, just a little taste, a little pinky up. Just a little taste. But
what's in that Gatorade, Mr. Baxter?
Right, exactly. And the good thing is Gatorade is a long word, so the kids probably can't read that word.
Right.
But I worked at a school, K through 12, and I wasn't in the elementary side, but I was always in the high school side, the 8 through 12 side. But I would see a ton of elementary school teachers. They would always be outside taking cigarette breaks.
Hell yeah!
They're like these goddamn kids, and like, yeah, this one pissed on itself in class, and this one, because it's so weird. Because some kids, based on their home life, they're a lot more advanced than other kids. Like, I remember being in middle school, and I'd have one kid playing with Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Like, remember those? Like, they're like little cards that were kind of like Pokemon cards, but called Yu-Gi-Oh. And you'll have a group of kids sitting in the corner playing with these cards, and then you look in the other corner, and a girl's pregnant, and I'm like. Like, what's going on here? You know what I mean? So it's just middle school is always crazy to me.
But you're right though, because middle school teachers, they look so old.
Middle school.
4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade teachers, they just look worn.
Yeah, no, listen, I remember I taught a middle school math class one year with kids that were, I want to say they were in like the BD room. So, which is like kids that have like behavior issues. Okay. And I only did it for 1 year, but I remember like there was a cop. This is no joke. There was a cop that came in to speak at my class or whatever. Like, he was just talking about gangs, because it was, it's around that time where kids are like involved in gangs. Yeah. So he's there and he's talking, and I'm sitting down, and two kids that are in my class, they see the cop, like, because there's like the door and then there's the window, and they see the cop sitting in there. And I'm like, yo, you guys, come on in. Like, come on in. And then they're just looking at me. And then the cop sees him, and he's like, you guys come in. Now, the kids didn't do anything, but they see the cop, and this is everything. And then they just start running down the hallway.
For no reason.
They run around, right? And I'm just like, all right, and these are my students. Don't worry about it. And do it again. And then after they did it the second time, the cop actually went and chased the kids. They end up coming back to class. And I'm like, why would you do that? They're like, oh.
Why would the cop chase them? Like,
I'm like, but why would you run around the damn school and come back? What are you running home.
Right, run home.
Like, what's wrong with you? Y'all embarrassing me, man. You don't give the middle finger to cop and come back and do it again. Like how long do you think this is gonna continue? So yeah, middle school is definitely wild. What's the wildest thing that happened while you were teaching? Wildest, funniest, weirdest?
Okay, there was an awkward moment, but it's really unfortunate that it was wild for this reason. Because but it was crazy. So I had the room is divided into two. It's test makeup, and then there's people who have gotten into like in school suspension, basically. And I'm running test makeup. Yeah, so I've got a split room, people trying to take a test and people trying to do everything but homework, right? Like they're not trying to. And out of the blue, this kid, I didn't realize he had headphones on because you're not supposed to have headphones on in the room, but out of the blue, this kid starts screaming random stuff. And he's just like, and I can't even think of a great example, but he's kind of like, and the ball went through the field goal and it's a 2-point, blah, blah. And then he just stopped. And then he'd say something else. And I was like, is he watching sports clips? I'm trying to figure out what he's watching. Sure, and then he breaks into like Vanilla Ice and he starts singing like a clip from Vanilla Ice. And then he starts doing Beyonce. So I have to go over and I'm like, sir, I need you to be quiet because they're taking test makeup. And he's ignoring me because he has headphones on. So I didn't know. And the whole time I'm trying to get his attention. He ends up saying some really wild stuff. I actually wrote it down because I was planning to report all this. He had, what's the condition where you blurt out stuff?
Oh, Tourette's?
Yes.
Yeah, like.
So I'm looking like a jerk because I'm over here scolding the kid with the disability. I'm like, yo, you can't be doing it. Get out of my room, And the kid's like, I can't control this, basically. Yeah. I had no idea, though.
So he has Tourette's and he's like yelling out sports scores,
Like just different stuff. And then like swearing and then Beyonce and then Michael Jackson, just random.
Yeah.
Random. And I was in the middle, I was texting a girl at the time. I said, girl, I'm in test makeup and this kid is doing Beyonce. And I'm like, girl, and there's a whole chain that's documenting what this kid was doing. But he had a disability. So I felt bad afterwards.
It is funny because I think that when you teach or when you're a substitute teacher, sometimes you're not giving all the information that you would need, which is understandable because there's a big group of kids in your classroom.
Yeah, but still.
You can't get like a report before every class knowing like, oh, he's crazy. He smells like shit all the time. Like, you don't know what the report is. So sometimes your first reaction,
like he comes to school in pajamas every day and meows like a cat.
You feel bad about it. Like, oh shit, he's on medication. I shouldn't have said that. Like, but I remember, it's so funny. One of the funniest things I've ever seen probably in my life as being an in-school suspension teacher was what I realized about myself. Like, I have a lot of patience with students, right? A lot of patience. However, people can get on my nerves. And it doesn't matter, like they can have a disability. And at first I'll be like, oh, well, she's like, there was a girl that came in my room and she had like a walker, like a walker.
I feel like I know where you're going.
And she was, I was like, man, why are you getting in trouble? Like, because I'm just assuming she just was following someone, but she was evil as shit, right? She was evil. She's like, shut the fuck up, yeah. And I realized like, and she kept like doing things in class while I was, in school suspension where I was annoying. And then after a while, you don't give a fuck if they got like whatever disability. You don't give a fuck about medication. Like I'm like, oh my God, he makes cat noises because he's on medication. But then
I don't care.
If he meows 20 times, on the 21st time, I'll be like, man, this motherfucker.
I'm over it. Yeah.
Like, I don't give a fuck how many.
It sounds awful, but it's true.
Now again, right? I'm like, damn, I hate cats. It's just, but that's what it is, man. But like, so that's.
It's terrible, and they can't help it, but you can't take it anymore. And that's the worst thing. Out of everything administration could do and should do, you need to really over-inform your subs. Like, we're not normal teachers. Like, we're not there every day. This is not what we do in real life.
Yeah.
So like, make us feel better about it so we come back, because like I wasn't coming back.
Exactly. You know what's so funny to me about subs is like, first of all, we all were like this when we were kids. We all were like this. That moment when you walked in your classroom and you realized you have a sub for that day. Remember that? Like
that feeling.
It was like an evil joy. No, it wasn't like just joy. It was like
we got this, girl.
I'm gonna go home and make this person beat their kids tonight. That's how I'm gonna act.
You're like shooting spitballs within 10 seconds.
Oh my God. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I just remember being like, cause you get like there's not that many feelings of joy, like evil joy that you get when you're like, sometimes you'll be at school and you're like, damn, we got a test today. And then you find out you have a tub and you're like, word, I didn't.
Those were the best days.
Those are the best days. Or like when you just expect it's your worst class. It's like a double period. You walk in and you find out you got a sub. You notice how when you have a sub, you always got other stuff to do to get out of class?
Yes.
Like, yeah, because I owe some work in my science class I got to make up. And then you're like,
and he's expecting me.
Class? It's usually like the new subs, the rookie subs. They're like, yeah, that's it for me. There you go. Yep. And then they get out, and then the entire time the kids just walking by the classroom door like,
yes, dancing in the hall.
But yeah, man, like, so that school's always been.
They still try that today. I'm like, no. I was like, no, I've been there. I've done that trick. Sit down.
Exactly.
No, I swear. Then have your teacher call me. We'll fix it tomorrow. You good today?
Now, did you ever have to like sub for like more than one day? Like, you ever like stay in the same class for like a couple of weeks?
No, the only time I did that was as an administrative sub, and I had to work the front desk.
What do you mean like administrative sub? Like, so some like vice principal was like, he's like subbing for the vice principal for the day?
Like the vice principal's assistant, or like that kind of thing. I was reception, so I worked the front desk where all the parents came through, and any bad kids or kids that were getting picked on that can't eat lunch in the classroom, that kind of thing. The ones growing up, the ones bleeding, the ones who are fighting, the ones who were selling drugs, the ones that were like,
You know what's so funny about that? I never thought about this, but I think I might even write a joke about it. But teachers are not the only people in a school, but they're the only people that get subs when they call out.
Yeah.
So I think that it'd be hilarious. Imagine he was like subbing for the nurse, like you're not even really a nurse. Like,
I can't believe you said that, because I just said that yesterday. I was like, I would love to sub as the nurse.
Yeah, you can sub as a nurse, but you don't know shit. You know, he's like, I got a head.
How many Adderalls do you need?
I got Band-Aids, right? I got a Band-Aid. Every kid's walking out with a Band-Aid on their leg, on their head. I got cramps. She got like 6 Band-Aids on her crotch area.
You're over here like sanitizing kids from the head down.
Just imagine being like you're subbing for the principal for the day. You're in there, you're acting like Donald Trump. Like, I don't believe
you.
Yeah.
And the principal has all the cameras in the office.
They got like the room full of videos. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was talking to somebody the other day about a teacher. I seen a teacher in New York that was about to get evaluated. And, when you're teaching, you're about to get evaluated. There's pressure sometimes, because sometimes the person who's evaluating you shows up during your worst class. Because every teacher has one class.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Terrible class. So anyways, this teacher had an evaluation. And instead of like, when she realized that she had an evaluation, the way she got out of it was she sat on the stairs and was like, and the reason why I know this is because they have video of her. She's trying to convince herself to throw herself down the stairs. But at some point, she realizes that she's up too far. So she goes to the bottom 2 stairs and she rolls off. And she just lays there. She's just laying out like in the stairway, and then somebody walks by and they're like, "Oh my God, are you all right?" And then like the ambulance come, but she gets in trouble because she doesn't realize there's a video camera
Dude, I
in the
can't even
hallway.
imagine.
So and she's faking the whole thing. But the shit that made me laugh was to see her on the top step. Obviously, she throw herself down the stairs. She sat on the stairs and she was trying to like start with her. You're gonna get fucked up. Don't do it. So she was smart
That would
enough.
have been me. I'd have been like, I don't know.
But first of all, I would have been like, you know what? If I'm gonna do this shit, I'm gonna just go late. Like if I didn't know there was a camera there, like why even put your body through the process? Like just
Like,
so
couldn't she have pretended to throw up or something? I mean,
yeah.
like.
Wait, why wouldn't you just fucking call in? How crazy are you to not just call? You know what? Like, I'm sick. I got guts. But I think I think what happened was when I was reading about the story was she panicked because she already had a previous bad evaluation.
So let's make it better. And I'm gonna throw myself down the stairs.
You know, she's like, you know what? Not only am I gonna get out of this evaluation, I'm about to sue the shit out of the school. I'm about to get paid on top of that. And that kid, but it was funny with that, like, when they had her in the air, like, so she said she got hurt, went to the office, she got hurt. So obviously they didn't go back and look at the tapes right away. They just took her for a word. She got hurt.
Like, so I would too. I would just be like, oh my gosh, Mrs. So-and-so got hurt. Yeah.
She, you know, so she's in the fucking ambulance stretcher. She's laid out. She's acting her ass off. And then they go back to the tape and of course, before they fire her ass, she resigns. Once they show her that she's on tape, she's like, you know what? Yeah, this shit ain't.
I'm good.
So,
I've given y'all my notice anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But I do think you know it get crazy in that classroom.
Out of all the things though, like there's so many other things she could have done to not have that. You know what would have been funny is if they still gave her the evaluation afterwards.
Oh,
like, we have evaluated your day as an epic fail.
Exactly. If they would have evaluated her on her falling out. Listen, we appreciate but the acting, the falling off but it was no, this is no fucking joke. You can go Google this. New York teacher throws herself down the stairs for evaluation. But the hilarious part is watching her throw herself down the stairs.
There's a video there's a video out you can see.
Yes. Go on Google and look it up. It's an old video, and I was talking to somebody about it. But I think one of the funny parts too is when she's laying on the ground, right? Nobody goes by for a while. So at some point you just see her lift her head up and look around, and she's like, "Yo, what's going on?" It's the funniest thing I've ever seen. But anyways, on that note, just so we don't run over too much time. Robynn Roxx, you have been a blessing. Thank you for being on the show. You know, I always appreciate you. I love you so much. One of my dearest friends, and I'm so happy you came on the show. Is there anything that you have that you might want to plug, that people want to check you out somewhere? I know you hit me to the Meet Me game for a while.
Yeah. For a little bit.
Even if you want to plug that, you plug whatever you want to plug. If you have nothing to plug, then that's all good as well. But
you're the sweetest. First of all, thank you for all the awesome words. I feel the same way about you. I hope you know that. Like I think you're a rock star. I talk about you all the time. I send people to your video links. I think you're hilarious. So I'm excited for the day that, as close as we are as friends, that the only way I'm going to see you is if I pay that $130 to get a ticket to your show.
Yeah. $130. That means I'm rocking a mullet after that.
I'm looking forward to it because I know it's coming for you. I just know it's coming for you. No, I don't have anything that I want to plug in particular. You know, I'm not doing a whole lot right now, but maybe if I come on in the future, I'll have some fun things to announce. But I appreciate the opportunity to do so.
All right. Well, thank you for being a guest on my show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course, of course. Thank you guys for watching. That's the show. I will talk to you guys next week. Peace.
Later. Bye.